One 3 centuries removed from the scenes his fathers loved, spicy grove, cinnamon tree. What is Africa to me? What is Africa to a black boy living in America? It is a mysterious place where his ancestors lived. But who they were, just where they lived, no one knows exactly. Millions of Africans were robbed of their heritage when they were sold into slavery. Centuries ago, slave traders reported that Africa was a dark continent peopled by Stone Age savages. This picture of primitive savagery was accepted, and it endured. But today, the myth of the dark continent has been exploded as new light is cast on Africa's past. In 1959, ancient bones and tools discovered in East Africa led scientists to believe that the first ancestors of man appeared there nearly 2 million years ago. Many of Africa's advanced cultures were lost to history because they did not have written languages. But objects made by ancient man gave up their own story. Rock paintings in the Sahara Desert date back 10,000 years. They trace man's progress from Stone Age cultures to highly civilized societies. In Nigerian tin mines, scientists have found sculptures made by African artists who worked with iron tools before 500 BC, long before the Iron Age reached Western Europe. European slave traders who roamed Africa's west coast during the 16th century did not find the castles and kings the early map makers had pictured, but they did discover that the villages were protected by strong rulers who demanded tribute. The people living within the prime slaving region of West Africa were of many different physical types, representing a wide variety of cultures and occupations. There, as throughout all Africa, the basic social unit was the family. Sometimes it included hundreds of people descended from a common ancestor. In some areas, a few family groups formed their own government by selecting a chief, a village council, or both. Most villages lived by farming, but some specialized in fishing, hunting, or raising livestock. In addition, some families had special duties and occupations. In heavily populated regions south of the Sahara Desert, villages grew into prosperous nation-states. These nations were united by alliance or conquests into tribal kingdoms. The kingdom had one ruler, a strong central government, and an army. African tribes were often made up of many different kinship groups. They shared a common territory, government, and language. Despite natural barriers, deserts, forests, and mountains, many regions of Africa were linked by trade routes. In the fertile valley of the Nile River, a vigorous agricultural society had expanded into an empire before 2000 BC. Recent discoveries in the Nile Valley indicate that black people helped to build the first kingdoms of Egypt. At various times, they rose to high positions in the Egyptian government, some even to the pharaoh's throne. For centuries, Egypt traded with, ruled, and sometimes enslaved the Nubians or Cushites who lived in the upper valley of the Nile. But by the 8th century BC, the rising black kingdom of Kush was strong enough to conquer and govern Egypt. A creative people, the Cushites were among the first in the world to master the techniques of iron working. They devised a written language, developed original styles in architecture, and opened new trade routes to East Africa, Arabia, and Asia. Egyptian arts, ideas, and institutions were preserved in the Cushite culture even after the Egyptian empire fell into ruins. Kush was rivaled only by Ethiopia, an empire proud and prosperous, which established Christianity as its state religion. But the vast territory south of the Sahara Desert, called the Western Sudan, gave African history its most dramatic and glorious chapter. 3 empires, one succeeding another, dominated the Western Sudan during the centuries from 700 to 1600. They were ruled by African kings who maintained great standing armies. The Sudanese states, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, built their empires by conquest and by controlling trade routes across the Sahara. And they controlled access to the wealth of the region, gold in mines to the south and salt in the desert. In the Middle Ages, Arab invasions brought the religion, ideas, and products of Islam to Africa. The empires of Mali and Songhai adopted the religion. Cities like Timbuktu became cultural centers of the Muslim world. From distant lands, scholars came to study medicine, law, and Arabic literature at the University of Timbuktu. The Sudanese kings were respected as patrons of art and learning. While Columbus was exploring the New World, King Askia the Great was building an empire larger than Europe, and in some ways more advanced than Europe's divided feudal states. But in 1591, Songhai was conquered by invading armies from Morocco. They had been equipped with superior weapons, firearms from England. The fall of Songhai ended the age of empire building until Europeans built colonies in West Africa. A few native kingdoms kept their national unity and institutions alive through a century of European conquest and colonization. In 1957, for example, the new Republic of Ghana was established on the foundations of the centuries-old Ashanti Kingdom. It became a free nation with roots deep in the African past. One 3 centuries removed from the scenes his fathers loved, spicy grove, cinnamon tree. What is Africa to me?